May 13th, 1983. This is Joe Todd with an interview with Mr. Winfield Herbert Reed.
Yeah.
Winnie.
Yeah, Winnie.
Winnie Reed.
Bring it on.
Mr. Reed, where were you born?
Fowler, Indiana,
And when's your birthday?
March 1904.
What year? 1904. Oh. I'm just testing.
I can hear that.
How long did you live in Indiana?
I was about a year old when we came down here.
You don't remember the trip then, do you?
Not likely.
How come your folks came to Oklahoma? For Indian
I
territory?
never did find out. I accused my father of running from the law.
Well, I don't think he wants that in the interview. Scratch that, Joe. That goes on record, be careful what you say.
Where'd you come to in Oklahoma?
Down in the Creek Nation, I think it was down around Eufaula, someplace. Wagner.
About 1905?
That was about 1905, I imagine.
How'd you come to Oklahoma?
I don't know. I suppose on a train. I don't know. I don't know whether they had railroads down here or not back in those days. I don't think they did.
My mom mentioned the railroad because Grandpa worked on the section,
Well, that was out
New Mexico, wasn't
in Bridgeport.
it? Yeah. Well, she said
What was
they
your
got a
father?
covered wagon too one time.
What was your father's name?
James Oliver.
And what was your mother's name?
Mary Catherine. Cather. I-N-E.
And her maiden name was
Brim.
B-R-I-M-M?
I guess it is one of him then, as far as I know.
What kind of work did your father do?
Oh, he's like everybody else. He tried to make a living on the farm and
What's your first memory of the Creek Nation, Eufaula?
oh, I remember going to, I don't know if it was a fair or not, but they had a merry-go-round that had a mule that was the power that, I can remember that. I couldn't have been I might have been about 3 years old or something like that.
Do you remember statehood day?
I wasn't here. Well, we was in New Mexico,
Oh, how come you went to New Mexico?
homestead.
What part?
We were at Ricardo.
Which there isn't any now.
There's nothing there now.
Did your father,
Homestead, yeah.
did he get a claim?
Yeah, he proved it up and got it. He had to, I think it was, took 3 years or something like that.
How long did you stay in New Mexico?
About 3 years. We came back to Oklahoma in 1910.
How'd you go to New Mexico? By train?
Train, as far as I know.
How come you came back to Oklahoma?
Well, we were getting hungry.
Mom said she can remember Grandpa saying that back here money grew on trees. And of course she didn't know what a tree was, she said. She never, on the desert there wasn't any trees.
You couldn't raise anything on that land out there. That was cattle land. They suckered these people into homesteading out there, and there wasn't any way of making a living.
Did your father sell out then, or?
Yeah, he sold the claim and went to work for the railroad, and lived at Yeso there for year or so.
Where?
Yeso.
Where's that?
That's New Mexico.
New Mexico.
That's just a few miles from Ricardo.
How do you spell that?
Yeso.
What did you do for the railroad?
Well, that was a water stop, was what you used to call a tank town. That, the engines come in there to fill up water going across that isolated country.
How long did you stay there?
I can't remember. It wasn't very long. Couldn't have been.
And you came back in 1910 on the train?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the train trip?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I can remember one time I would stick my head out the window, see. The conductor came along and told me to get my head back in, so you hit one of those telephone poles. We're going. And I believed him. That's about all I remember about that trip.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you come to in Oklahoma?
We got off there at Bridgeport.
Any reason why you came to Bridgeport?
Yeah, there's a friend of ours that lived there,
What was his name?
Franklin. His name was Albert Franklin.
Did he work for the railroad also?
No, he was a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
See, there were three families that came from Indiana down here, and they followed one another around for quite a few years.
The Brims, no, the Reeds, the Franklins, and
Singers.
Sangers. They all three wind up in Oklahoma?
No, the Singers and the Franklin went to California, and we never did go.
Did you know your grandparents?
No.
What kind of house you live in Bridgeport?
Well, it was this ordinary house. You've probably seen it.
Little frame house.
Wood.
Yeah.
As a child, what kind of chores you do around the house?
Nothing. I remember chop wood, and that's about it.
How many brothers and sisters you have?
So there were 6 of us in the family. There were 3 boys and 3 girls.
You the oldest, youngest?
I'm the middle.
You're the middle.
I was number 4, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What kind of work did your father do for the railroad at Bridgeport?
Well, I think he was kind of a straw boss, they called him at that time. He was assistant to the foreman.
What does a straw boss do?
He does the work. The foreman gets the money. He supervises the work.
How big is Bridgeport when you moved there?
Oh, I think it was about, might have been 1,000, between 1,000 and 2,000. It was a pretty good town.
What did the town look like, downtown?
No, it had the regular stores, the hardware and grocery stores and clothing stores and 2 or 3, 4 groceries. Had a bank and a hotel.
Who were some of the prominent people in Bridgeport?
Well, there was the Kesslers and
Who were they? What did they do?
well, I think he was the mayor. And he run a boarding house there. Cartwrights Had a grocery store.
What part of Bridgeport you live in?
We were kinda on the east, we were just close downtown. We were only 2 or 3 blocks from downtown. I can remember that, I used to think it was a long way when my mother used to send me to the grocery store, and I thought it was a long way, but when I went down there to see where we used to live, it wasn't too far.
You're bigger then.
Well, it was bigger then, yeah.
Do you remember any of the big floods in the Canadian River?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about them.
Well, we were all down, us kids were all down there swimming, and I remember the freight crane came by, and as they went over a little bridge there, well, this brakeman or conductor on the train yelled down at us and told us to get out, that there was
I decided,
a wall of water coming down the river, up the stream,
they did a lot of remodeling.
and we got out, and sure enough, it just come like
She
just
sent
a wave.
She never sent me in their bedroom. I wanted in their bedroom.
How tall was the water? How the wall was?
Well, I think they said it was about 6 feet rolling.
I understand that wiped out the railroad bridge there at Bridgeport.
Yeah, it did, I think I remember that.
What year was that?
I can't remember. I've got a book here that tells me, but I can't remember.
This was his death.
And then I remember there were about several men that went down with the bridge, and some of them entered his mind.
They won't be sitting that close to it.
Now, your father worked on the railroad then, didn't he?
Yeah,
Was he on the bridge?
no, these are all,
They won't be sitting on it.
One of these,
top management of the railroad was on the bridge. The engineers and superintendent and all those guys, see, it wasn't,
And they're the ones that washed away then?
yeah, they didn't ask any of the common help to get out there. They were trying to get the debris away from the bridge, see. And they didn't ask anybody to get out there.
What about tornadoes in Bridgeport?
Oh, I guess I don't remember any. The only one, a tornado as such, I remember one time when Harvey was about a year old or so, just a little kid, little baby.
Is that your brother?
Yeah, and we all went down to we had storm cellars back then. We all went down to the storm cellar, and everybody got in the storm cellar and started looking for the baby, and he was still in the house. But Dad had to get out and go get him. I can remember that. I wasn't very old.
Mm-hmm.
and this is the kitchen and the floor.
I was probably about 7 or 8 or something like that.
Did you just redecorate?
I understand there was an outbreak of, was it yellow fever or typhoid fever?
Typhoid is where everybody died. Every year there'd be so many people dying of
Yeah, they
typhoid.
did it,
What caused that?
Bad water, I think.
they knocked out.
We were about the only family that didn't have typhoid, because we were
When you going down?
so poor we weren't hooked onto the water system. We had a well.
So it was a city water system then?
Yeah, they had a city water system. Of course, that's what Mabel used to tell me, the reason that we never had any typhoid, because we weren't on the city water system.
Yeah, I didn't dream about that was
And that's your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your sister?
Yeah.
Let's get those National Geographic.
How long did you live in Bridgeport?
Oh, from about, see, when we first went to Bridgeport, we didn't stay there. We went out on a farm east of Hinton. about 6 miles. That's where Harvey was born. And between the floods and the fire, my dad got wiped out, and I think one of his horses died. And we moved to Bridgeport, and he went to work for the railroad.
What kind of crops you raising on the farm there?
I think the best I can remember is mostly corn.
What kind of chores you do in the farm there at Hinton?
Well, I was too small.
Yeah. How far east of Hinton was the farm?
Mhm.
How far east of Hinton was the
I
farm?
think it was about 6 miles.
Did he own or just lease it?
He just rented, leased it.
You ever go to Hinton then when you lived there?
Yeah, that's where we used to go. I remember we'd get in the wagon and go to Hinton.
What did Hinton look like at that time? How big was it?
It was just a small town. It was smaller than Bridgeport.
How come Bridgeport just died? What?
They got to fighting among themselves. They used to see they had on the east side they had store buildings on the east side, and when they built the railroad in there, they put the station on the west side. So they started building on the west side, close to the railroad station, naturally, but they had the post office on the east side, and they'd go over, and the west siders would go over and steal the post office and bring it over and set it up on the west side, see? Because that's where everybody comes to get their mail. That was an attraction for business, see? That's where the crowd went. And they had, from what I've understood, after I hear those old timers talking around there, they had gun battles over that. And finally the people that lived on the east side of Bridgeport started the town of Hinton. They just moved, started their own town, see?
So that's where Hinton came from then.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
How far is Hinton from Bridgeport?
Oh, it's only about 6 or 8 miles, and it's not very far.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go down there on the train when I was a kid, by myself.
On the train?
Mm-hmm. The railroad used to have a square track that runs from Bridgeport to Hinton on down to Lukiba and Bangor and on down to, I suppose it run clear to Anadarko, probably up at the county seat.
Mm-hmm. Were you in Bridgeport during World War I? 1917, 1918?
Well, we came up here, when 17, we came up here in 1918.
To Bartlesville?
Yeah.
Was there much work for the war effort in Bridgeport?
No.
In World War I? What about the flu epidemic?
Well, we were in Bartlesville at that time.
Okay.
They had all those schools were closed, and the theaters were closed. And
So was the typhoid epidemic the only epidemic you had in Bridgeport?
that was the annual thing.
It was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Always a few people died of typhoid every summer.
I understand you had a sister that died.
Yeah. She died, she had the measles.
What year was that?
I can't remember.
What was her name?
Ruby. I can't remember exactly how old she was. She was probably 6 or something like that. She wasn't very old. I don't know whether she'd ever started school or not. I can't remember.
Did you start school in Bridgeport?
Yeah.
What year?
It must have been about 1911 or something like that.
Remember your
Well, I
teacher?
went to school in New Mexico because at that time the government would furnish teachers
Mm-hmm.
if there were 9 students and they only had 7 in the town. In order to get a teacher, me and a little girl went to school. We were probably
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just in order to get a
Yeah.
government to pay for a teacher back in those days. Because it was still a territory in itself, see, at that time.
Right. What was the name of the school in Bridgeport?
I don't know.
Remember your teacher's name?
Well, there's one teacher there, I think we called her Scissors. I don't know whether that was her name or not.
Scissors?
That might have just been what the kids called her. I don't
Mhm.
know.
What kind of mischief did you get into as a child?
Nothing.
Nothing.
There wasn't anything there you could get into. We used to have caves down in the canyon there in west of Bridgeport. Us kids all had private caves, you know. And we'd go down there and get food and take it down in our cave and cook it, you know.
Hmm.
Probably stitch it from home or something.
Yeah. Those caves still there?
I don't know.
Were they in the rock or just in the dirt
They were
bank?
just in the banks of the creek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How come you moved to Bartlesville?
Well, Steve and Liller.
Just a second. Okay, how come you moved to Bartlesville?
Well, Steve and Lily came up here, and then Paul came up.
Okay, now who's Steve and Lily?
Lily was my sister,
Okay.
and Steve was her husband. And then Paul came up here, lived with them and worked. And
That's
then,
your brother.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then when he made a little money, why, he sent us money, and we came up.
On the train?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the whole family came up here then?
Mm-hmm. And the whole family came up.
What part of Bartlesville you settled in?
We lived down here on Park Avenue when we first came to Bartlesville. There's some old house down there that we rented. Then we moved out on 10th Street.
In a bag. Get your paper right.
What year did you move to Bartlesville?
1918.
Was there much work for the war effort in Bartlesville?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot going on. A lot of oil drilling, and oil bins are big, and smelters are big. And
Did you do any work for the war effort?
I was only 14.
What about your father?
He worked down to Larkin Packer Company. They were making artillery shells down there.
Where were they located? What part of
They
town?
were located down on Park Avenue.
What's the name of the company? Larkin Packard?
Packer,
Packer.
P-A-C-K-E-R. So they made these Packers was oil equipment, oil well equipment stuff, and they converted over to. They were making artillery shells
Mhm.
at that time.
Did your father do any work in the oil fields?
Yeah, and Burbank was going big over there. He worked for the Black, Silvers, and Bryson Tank Company that they build tanks over in the Burbank field.
Oh, did he help build the tanks?
Yeah, they were back in those days. There were old wooden tanks that had these hoops around them, and they'd erect them, see, in the oil fields.
Did you live in Bartlesville while he was working over there?
Mhm.
Tell me about Armistice Day in Bartlesville.
Well, there was a lot of shooting going on, and That's about all I remember.
Did you join in the
A
celebration?
lot of celebration. No, I was too scared.
How big was Bartlesville when you first moved here?
Oh, it was probably between 9 and 10,000, something there.
What did downtown look like?
Just like it does now, except to turn it down. When they get through tearing it down, that's finished.
Mm-hmm.
The town run out, 14th Street was the south edge of town.
14th Street. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's as far as the streets run.
Mm-hmm.
All this out in here was a dairy farm, best I can remember.
How big were the smelters at that time?
They were supposed to be the biggest in the world. There were three smelter companies at that time. They run from 3rd Street to 14th Street.
There's just one left now, isn't there?
Yeah,
National Zinc.
National.
You do any work for them?
Mm-mm.
Did you finish high school in Bartlesville?
Yeah,
Which high school?
that was the old Bartlesville High School is what they called it back then. Just had one.
What year did you finish?
23.
1923. What was the first job you had?
I worked for a wholesale grocery in the office.
Which one?
Benning,
Benning.
Behning.
What'd you do for them?
Hmm?
What'd you do for them? What'd you
Ca-
do for the grocery company?
Hmm?
You say you worked back in the office?
Yeah.
What'd you do for them?
Well, I kept the books. Tried to keep the cash straight,
Oh,
which is impossible.
yeah. Tell me about the flu epidemic, 1918. How bad
Wow.
was it here in Bartlesville?
Well, it was bad. In fact, Steve, he was working for a wholesale grocery. He spent his evenings hauling caskets out to he'd take the company truck and haul caskets out to the cemetery and bury those people at night. He'd just have stacked on top of one another.
What, the caskets?
Yeah,
How many people died
I don't
in that
know.
epidemic?
They had the old Elks Club was converted into, that's where they kept the bodies, I think, or part of their hospital set up. They had a little hospital up here, back of the Horseman School. You can probably remember that. That's probably before your time.
It was.
When did you get married?
36.
1936. How did the Depression affect you?
Well, I didn't. I was working.
At the grocery company?
No, I was working with Phillips at that time.
Oh, what'd you do for Phillips?
I was in the accounting department.
Mm-hmm. Did you know Frank Phillips?
I knew him when I saw him. I wasn't personally acquainted with him.
Did you do any work with Woolrock?
Who?
Woolrock Museum out here?
No.
Where'd you meet your wife?
Well, she worked for Phillips.
And her
in
name
Bartlesville.
is... What's your full name?
Mary Margaret Brown.
Mary Margaret Brown. When's your birthday?
June 18th.
Tell your age.
What year?
1905,
1905. Where were you born?
Ottawa, Kansas.
Where?
Ottawa, Kansas.
How'd you all meet?
Oh, I don't know. It's not good.
We went on a camping trip down in Uchee. Stayed all night down there.
Oh, that's where Mr. Overfell.
I froze my butt off.
Where's Uchee?
That's the Bluff Spavinaw. Uchee, you've heard of Uchee Lake.
And you met on a camping trip?
We went.
We went together.
We went together. Mr. Overfell, the office.
Took his office on.
His
He's out east.
research department.
Which office did you work in?
Research.
Research. And you worked in accounting.
Mm-hmm.
When did y'all decide to get married? How did he ask you to marry him?
So will you marry me?
And I assume you said yes.
Fine, sure. Naturally. What else?
And when's your wedding day? What day?
February the 29th.
Leap year?
Leap year day. We'll have an anniversary every 4 years.
Let's see, what was
Is it working?
take out, take all this out, I should take that.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes, ma'am.
how come your family moved to Oklahoma?
They didn't.
She did.
I did.
You did. How come you moved to Oklahoma?
Came down here to work for Phillips Petroleum Company.
Did you have a job with Phillips in Kansas?
No, I worked for the Warner Manufacturing Company in the office.
What's that? What'd you do for him?
I was in the office, work typing, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
secretary, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah.
There.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Well-
work for Phillips Company? I didn't know
World War II.
I worked there when Tommy was a baby.
that.
Did you all do any work for the
Telephone
war
operator.
effort?
And then
Just
I had
work
to
for
quit
Phillips.
'cause
Just
Mama
worked for
couldn't-
Phillips.
Huh?
I
We
had to
were
quit 'cause
frozen.
Mama couldn't take care of the kids
Mhm.
any longer.
Oh,
You couldn't
If I
quit.
stayed on there, I'd have been retired by now.
You couldn't get a raise. You couldn't change jobs. Nobody
They were
hired
hiring
you. If you
only,
went someplace else, they couldn't hire
Servicemen
you.
wise at the time I got home.
oh.
They had you pretty well socked in.
So
So all jobs were frozen then.
About 44,
Yeah.
45.
Were both of you still
That's
The
where
working?
only way you
Margaret
could get,
went,
the only way you do, you could quit.
Philip, or the.
And 2 months later, you were eligible to go
Do what
someplace
now?
and apply a job and they could hire you, see. Cause they were trying to hire people.
The day that he left.
You didn't have any trouble,
Yeah.
getting a job, but
See, I was there,
you
Tommy
got a
was,
problem
probably 4 or
of
5.
changing.
It was probably in
Job.
45.
What was VJ Day like in Bartlesville when World War II
I told
ended?
her I was gonna have to quit.
I can't remember.
She didn't want me to quit because I was making too good of an operator,
I can't remember.
so.
Remember VJ Day? The day World War II ended here in Bartlesville. Think
Well,
that
we were
was-
in Joplin, don't you remember? Up to Sam's.
Were we? Yeah,
We were in Joplin.
that's right.
We were in Joplin.
What were you doing up in Joplin?
Well, my brother, oldest brother lived in Joplin. We'd gone up there for the weekend to see that.
And you heard about the war ended then.
Oh, yeah.
What was
And
Joplin like that day?
And the people were going down the street shooting guns and what have you. In fact, one lady was killed sitting out on her front porch from just somebody going by in a car shooting guns.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
I don't have it. My childhood wasn't very exciting.
That's what Mom always said. Nothing happy about it, she said.
It wasn't nothing.
Well, I can't remember much about my childhood. I just can't. I just don't remember when I was a kid.
She said there wasn't nothing
I
good
remember.
about her.
Well, nothing ever happened anyway back.
In those days.
Said you can remember when they lived in New Mexico, they'd go hunting for buffalo chips, I guess, for fuel.
Yeah.
And she said, that, of course, it seemed like to her they walked for miles and miles and miles. But that was just about every day.
We
It
lived,
wasn't nothing.
And she said she guessed that God was with them all the time because she said, how in the world we ever got back without getting lost.
Well, you could see for 20 miles. It was flat country.
Snow said that she don't whatever kept them from not getting bit with snakes or something.
Well, what'd you all raise out there, did you?
It didn't raise anything.
How'd
It
you-
wasn't-
How'd you survive in New
You
Mexico?
didn't have any rain, and if you planted a garden, the rabbits would eat it up.
How'd you survive out there?
Oh,
we just about didn't.
my mother got little money from her dad's estate every once in a while. I think that's what kept them going.
Were either one of your grandfathers in the Civil War?
I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
Mama said that they never talked about them.
They never did mention their folks.
That's what Mama said, that she don't know anything
She
about
had a brother named Jack and a sister named Emma, and I don't know whether my dad ever had any brothers or sisters or not. He never mentioned them. If he did, he didn't mention them. My grandpa on my mother's side was married 5 times.
Five times.
My mother said she has 2 stepmothers. People didn't live long back in those days, especially women. Women had a hard life of it.
I'm sure they did.
Well, they did. They worked their butts off.
Do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions? Well, yeah, there's a lot of questions, but you asked me too quick. Remember one time, you took Tommy and I out to eat,
Yeah.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a little old cafe down there on what's now Frank Phillips was 3rd Street. And I don't believe that I ever ate such a meal in my life. That was the most delicious food.
We had chicken.
And was it dressing? Chicken and dressing?
Chicken dinner, yeah.
Yeah. And we had a little bit of cranberries, I think. And I have never forgot that.
What was the name of the restaurant?
It's a New Haven.
Is that what it was? And I have never forgot that.
Some of the time we took Mary Ann out to,
I had to make them dress up.
Clean up.
Before I'd take them. It was on Sunday.
Where was the restaurant? What part of 3rd Street?
It was on 4th Street. It was right across from the old Phillips building.
Oh, it was on 4th Street?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right back of the hotel.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Which
I
hotel?
never-
Mare
Mhm.
Hotel.
Which hotel?
Mayor. It was Burlingame, way you'd know it.
Okay, the
But back in those days, it was the Mayor Hotel.
but I never, I don't know what the occasion was. Was Mom and Papa gone that day?
Yeah, everybody was gone there. You kids were running around there with your tongues hanging out, starving to death.
I don't remember.
And I got up late.
What year was that?
Oh, you guys was, Mary was about 4 years old, I think. And
They had Mary with them, didn't they?
yeah, we took Mary. She was just a little outfit.
you mean you had all 3 of them?
Yeah,
I don't remember Mary going.
yeah, she went.
I remember Tommy and I, but I don't remember Mary.
'Cause I was all there by myself. I'd slept late, and I think I got up about 11 o'clock, and you guys were,
Probably woke you
I
up.
don't know where you folks were, but there wasn't anybody home
Yeah.
but you kids.
I didn't know what the reason for us going out to eat.
In fact, you guys are probably the ones that woke me up.
Probably, that's what I said, probably woke you up. But I've never forgot that. I never have forgotten it. I believe that was, food was so exciting.
Well, sure.
That was a good restaurant. They had good food in there.
What year was that?
God, I don't know.
You see, had Grandpa died yet? Grandpa died in 34.
That was before that,
Before that,
I think. Yeah, it had to be.
Oh, yeah.
so I'd say it would be in the early 30s.
Yeah, it'd be in the early 30s probably, because Mary wasn't very old.
Yeah, married was, let me see, 24, 25, 26, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. She was born 28.
Yeah.
Cause she's, about 4 years older than she is. But,
Well, I had my car because I took you down there
yeah,
in
we
the car.
went in the car.
I didn't buy that car till 1932, when I bought that.
Yeah. It was a one seat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a coupe.
Coupe, I remember that. It had a rumble seat in it.
No, I don't think it did.
It didn't have the rumble seat.
There's a car up the street here just like it. Except this car up the street here's got a rumble seat in
Yeah.
it.
What was the first car you ever saw?
Oh, it was down in Bridgeport. That was an old. There was a bunch of guys that was driving across from New York to San Francisco or something. I don't know. They were driving across the country, and of course, it didn't have filling stations back in those days, and they had to have their gasoline ever so often. They had our gasoline stops, see, and Bridgeport was one of them. And there was these guys come in there and fill up their cars and keep going. That was way back there. probably about 1914 or.
Well, you know, when we lived there, you know, we would eat at our table, and we'd get right up to the table and go to Grandma's,
Yeah,
and we'd sit down at her table, and I remember you telling Grandma one time, well, doesn't Mabel ever feed these kids? And we'd, I remember that, and we'd eat like we'd just be starved to death. And, but there was just something different about Grandma's
Well,
cooking.
sure.
Well,
And,
different.
but we'd get right up from our table. I remember either you or Harvey one told Grandma, well, don't Mabel ever feed these kids? And, of course, we had the old hydrant out there, and we'd have to carry our water a bucket at a time to our house. Of course, you had to also. And, Tommy was talking here a while back about remembering when Papa and Claude Towns was working on their car. And I think they had it between the two houses. Or maybe they had it on the north side of our house. They had it jacked up with the motor running and the rear wheels. And the blocks fell off from under it.
Yeah, I remember
Had it in
that.
gear. You remember that?
Hit the corner of our house.
Yeah, and knocked the icebox.
Uh-huh.
Knocked the icebox from one side of the kitchen to the other.
They claimed that Harvey was the cause of it. I don't know whether he was fooling around with the car or not. He might have been fooling around with it.
It went off the blocks and just as perfect made a circle and hit Grandma's house. Now he was talking about that, he remembered that. But there's a lot of things that we did, you know, of course if you just stop and think about it, that when we lived down there. Of course, I know there were times when you and Harvey would probably love to tie us up to a tree or something and left us there. But, you know, Tommy and I talked about living down there, and I believe that was the happiest years of our life,
Of course, you didn't know any better.
I guess,
Where was this?
on Virginia.
Virginia down
here
there.
in Virginia.
Didn't know any better.
But, we were happy then.
Yeah.
We didn't have nothing. But
Well,
we
nobody
had
had anything.
We had lots to eat. Cause, Papa raised big gardens. Mama canned. Papa butchered hogs. And we had chickens in the spring of the year.
I know one year that me and Fred used to go down on Sand Creek and pick grapes, wild grapes,
Possum grapes.
and make wine.
Oh yeah.
Every year we'd go down there and make wine.
Remember the homebrew Papa made?
And well, your mother had some babysitters with you kids one weekend, I think, or something. I don't know where they were gone. And we had about a gallon of that wine we were saving. And they had two girls babysitting with you guys. And they got into that wine.
The girls did. Happy babysitters, huh?
Yeah, they was happy babysitters. They had it all going.
Who was the biggest moonshiner in Bartlesville, the biggest bootlegger?
Oh, I don't know. We had
So many of them.
there was so many bootleggers there. They wore badges to keep from selling to one another.
I remember we made money by picking up old empty whiskey bottles.
There's some still living. Remember, I've seen once in a while.
Who is it?
Crouch.
Yeah,
Crouch and
couch.
Couch. What was the guy that, Kester? Wasn't he one?
Oh yeah,
What they call Trigger Beeler?
yeah, Trigger Beeler. Yeah, almost certain.
Yeah, he's dead. Been
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Who's the most unusual character you met in Bartlesville?
Oh, I don't know.
The strangest person.
No, I wouldn't wanna say anything about that.
I guess there's a lot of odd ones around.
What about, were there any big fires in Bartlesville?
Remember the
Oh,
Boston store? Was you here when that
Boston
burned?
store. Yeah, some guy came over to my house and woke me up about 2 o'clock in the morning and said the town's burning down, let's go down and see it. And I said, you go down there and tell me about it.
Okay.
Was you living here then, Mary? I don't remember the fire. I remember walking by it, going to the show. It stayed there
For
for
years.
years. Just the rubble. They
Yeah,
never cleaned-
nobody would clean it up.
It was right there where Martin's is at now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm. I know the guy that owned the building said that, it belongs to the insurance company, I don't have to clean it up.
They didn't either.
No, he didn't either.
It was there for years, seemed like.
The insurance company paid me for the building. It's theirs now. I guess he was right. They couldn't make him to clean it up. I don't know who ever cleaned it up. I guess the city finally did.
I guess. I don't remember. One time, you know, it was, of course, we went to town once a week. We went walk to the show every Saturday. We'd always walk by there.
Do you remember the Lanham house?
Yeah,
What did that house look like?
that was a beautiful place.
What happened to it?
It burned down about 1926 or something like that.
What caused it to burn?
Just caught on fire. I think it was wiring or something.
Wasn't that right over here?
That's
Before that?
on-
Yeah, back over here.
Yeah,
On 14.
Who were the Lanhams?
about 14th and Hickory or
Yeah.
something, and you drove, it was set way back,
Yeah.
in a big long driveway. Beautiful place.
Who were the Lanhams?
Well, they were rich people. He had a racetrack down there, back of the house. He had horse races and everything.
Well, we did.
Oh, yeah, he was a big wheel.
What about the Indians around here? Cherokees and Osage?
Delawares.
Get to know any of them very well?
Well, yeah, I knew some. There was a lot of them around here. Most of them had money. Not for very long, but they had it.
We're big spenders.
Any more questions?
Oh, gosh. Guys,
Yeah.
You have one child?
Maryland. There were 9 of us kids in our family. 5 girls and 4 boys.
Mhm.
I always have to stop and think of it, 5 girls and 4 boys. We lived on a farm and I know when we went to school, why, the boys would have to, my one sister, she was just a year and a week younger than I am. And going to school, we'd cut across in the wintertime, cut across the field, you know, and the boys would have to carry us on their back to and from school, wading the snow when we were little. But I don't, you know, I can remember stuff like that, but I can't remember too much about mine.
I remember that wagon that Papa bought us. I won't forget that for Christmas. boy, we thought we was really living high off the hog. That was the year they decided to burn wood.
Mhm.
And that was why they bought the wagon, so we could bring wood from the garage to the house. And the house caught on fire. I never will forget, Mama was over at Grandma's, and Grandma had the big black overstuffed rocking chair in the kitchen. And Mom would go over there and they'd visit. And Tommy went over, went in and he said, Mama. Mama told him, shut up, there's visiting. He said, Mama. She kept telling him, shut up. He kept saying, Mama. So after a while, finally she said, well, what do you want? And he said, the house is on fire. And the roof had got hot. They got it out, but she made Papa take the stove out. That was the last time they ever burnt wood.
Yeah.
And there was another time. You're not recording this, are you?
Oh.
Well, anyway.
I'll turn it off.
Well, no, you can leave it on, but you can edit it. But, of course, a lot of this is what Mama's told me. But she'd always go over at Mama's and Grandma's and they'd visit. You know, she'd sit in that big chair and they'd sit and rock and visit. Of course, Grandma said the reason they had rocking chairs in the kitchen because when the babies got sick, that was where they'd always go because they'd be the warmest. They'd sit there where they could heat food or whatever it was and give to them. And Papa was out in the hen house or something, doing something, and he told Tommy, he said, go get your mom, I need her. He went over there and he said, Mama said, Papa wants you. She said, okay. So she kept visiting. He went out, first he'd come back in, he said, Mama said, Papa wants you. Okay, you know. And so he went outside and Papa said, is your mama coming? He said, I don't know. He went back in and he said, you old bitch, I told you Papa wanted you. And boy, she said, up out of that chair she went. And you know that board walk between the two houses? Papa looked up and there went Tommy and Mama right behind him. And he went in the house and got under the bed. And she pulled him out. She was just whipping the tar out of him. And Papa went in the house and he said, what in the world is wrong? She said, I might be an old bitch, but my kids are not going to call me. Tommy, in later years, Tommy said, well, it worked.
Got her attention.
Yeah. He got her attention, all right. But you can edit that.
Yeah. Strike it out.
But, you know, just things like that, you know, Tommy and I can sit and remember doing. Just like one time it rained and storm and thunder would just absolutely scare us to death. We run in the bedroom and got on our knees and started praying. And then it quit raining. Now, I'll always remember that our praying stopped that rain and thunder. Just in a few minutes while it quit. And I'll always remember things like that.
You know, I always heard, of course, we always had iron beds, you know. And, of course, we, two-story house, us kids upstairs and folks downstairs. And, of course, the living room was the only one that had a rug on the floor. The rest of them were these Congolian rugs, or bear, whichever. And when it stormed, electrical storms, why the folks would always get us up, bring all the kids downstairs, and we'd always stand in the middle of that living room rug. You know, in on the rug, rather, rather in case of lightning strike, you know. Oh, I don't know. The kids nowadays don't even know what hardships were.
No,
They
no.
don't, I mean, they can't get out and make fun for themselves. Like
Well,
we
you know,
used to
every
have to
evening
do.
when we got home from school, Tommy and I, it was our job to haul water from the hydrant to fill up that huge barrel 5-gallon barrel, I guess. Of course, it looked enormous to us. But we had to put water in that every evening. And of course, Papa would come home and he'd take what garbage Mama had saved. Of course, then we didn't call it garbage, we called it slop. And he'd pour that in that barrel, and then he'd add his feed to it and stir it up, and that's what he fed the hogs.
Sure.
But we
Yeah.
had to fill it up every evening with water. And he'd go out and feed the hogs. And but we had jobs to do every day. Of course, go to the pasture and get the cows, bring them in. And I won't forget when Minnie, that young heifer, she was Jersey, had a calf. And down in the pasture, Papa told Tommy, he said, come get in the car, we'll go get her calf. Go find her and get her calf. And I think Claude Towns was with them. And Papa had taken a stick for Tommy to use. And they found her out in the pasture. He told Tommy, he said, now go over there and get her calf, and bring it to the car. We'll put the calf in the car, and she'll follow us home. Okay. Of course, Tommy and I were the type, anything Papa told us to do, we would do it automatically. So he started real slow, just sauntering along with that old stick, and got almost to her, and boy, she just lowered that head and bellered. And Papa says that stick went one way and Tommy went the other. And he said, you talk about running to the car. And he told Papa, says, if you want that calf, you go get it yourself. And of course Papa, but she never did chase him. She just lowered her head and bellered. And, Papa said he laughed about that. Papa went out and got the calf, picked it up, brought it, put it in the car. Of course, they drove real slow, and she followed the car home. She was mean. We'd go to the pasture to get her. And old Bess would be there, and old Bess was just as docile as she could be, but boy, now Minnie, we were scared to death of her. She knew it. I remember one time Papa had bannies. I never will forget it. And I know when Papa was alive, we talked about it one time. But the cage was just about this high.
Mhm.
And that's what he had his bannies in. And they was Fred and Ethel. Now whether they had any babies or not, I don't know. But Papa told me, he said, sis, go in there. I don't know whether she was on a nest or what, but he said, go in there and get the banny. Of course, I was crawling on my hands and knees. Well, of course, when I reached in to get her, well, she just come out flogging.
Mhm.
Well, there I was. I couldn't raise up, couldn't turn around. And I was just screaming to high heaven. And she was right up in my face. And Papa was hollering at me and trying to control me. And I guess I was just, of course, I have claustrophobia anyway, and there I was hung up and I couldn't get out. Papa, he was trying to get a hold of me to quiet me down. He said, I tore that fence. I'd get up.
We'd go out to my sisters. They lived on a farm. After we moved to town when I was 14. But we'd go out to my sisters on a farm, and I'd go out to gather the eggs, with her and everything. And Lord, I reached in there to get eggs, and big old black snake.
They're harmless, but they sure scare you to death.
I don't have any love for any snakes.
I don't remember ever seeing a snake in the chicken house.
Well, get in there and get to suck those eggs.
I remember that if the chicken ever flew over the pen where the hog was at, that the hog would eat them.
I'll have to show you a picture, Joe.
Okay.
These books I saw looking at here.
Remember the time Papa caponized a bunch of chickens? They were roosters. They were real small.
Mhm.
They all had gas. They walked around, they was all bloated, and a lot of them couldn't even walk. We had to get the guy to come back out, and he pricked a pin in them. let the air out. I never will forget that. Them things got the biggest turkeys, chickens did. They were huge. Sold most of them. But boy, they were so fat, they were rich. I remember the time that we'd get up, just before time to get up in the morning, we'd light the oven in the kitchen to warm up the house. And I got up one night in my sleep, I guess, and lit the oven. And Mama had set a pan of dry beans in there. She's gonna cook the next day. And I turned that up.
Who's this?
That's our family. Part of them. Some of them weren't. That's my oldest sis, and that was the uncle from Chicago. And that was my brother Walter. And that was my sis Virginia. And that's me. And that's Pauline. That was mother. And that was my brother Jack. Sam. And that was my brother Jack. Well, then Winfred and Paul still weren't born yet.
Was this taken in Kansas?
We lived on a farm up there. I only lived two places my whole life, Ottawa, Kansas, and here. One place I've ever lived. I don't know where Papa was.
You probably took the picture.
No, I imagine he was probably working or
Some of those
something
traveling photographers, they used to go around the country
Yeah.
and taking pictures.
in there. But now, it's funny. Now, there's only about 2 years difference between Ruth and Sam. Look how little he is.
Yeah.
And everybody there.
Have you got that thing on, Joe? What about the time that Paul was killed, Winnie?
Well, I think Steve and Paul were gonna move Steve that day, and they had a truck. And they asked me to go with him, and I declined, and they went on down the road, and I changed my mind. I thought I'd catch up with them, and I never did catch them one night. They were on 14th Street there.
Now, is this your?
As he was going across the track,
Is this your dad?
No,
the switch engine came along and hit the truck.
My mother,
Didn't hurt Steve, but it killed Paul. If I'd have went with him, I'd have been sitting in the back.
Isn't she a lovely lady?
I never did catch him.
Did she?
What year was that?
I'd
You got
1920.
eyes.
1920?
He's handsome.
And that's
Uncle's
your
good to be
older
so
brother?
old.
Yeah.
They were, you know, those pasteboard.
Yeah.
What crossing was
uh-huh.
that?
Well, I had the
That's on 14th Street there. If you go
Well, you
west,
done a good job.
place of turning and-
Oh, there by the smelters?
yeah,
Yeah.
you just go right straight ahead.
Okay.
Probably
Yeah.
Greg or somebody, I don't remember
Well, they
anymore.
done a good job.
That's where the old Katy Railroad went
You ought to
across
ride on
that
the back
way.
of these, Mary.
That's all us kids, we all know each
I think he was about,
We
I
all
think he
Does
was
Marilyn
20
know
years
it?
old or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, she probably doesn't know in there. But I said now, there's only about 2 years difference, age between Ruth and Sam.
Look how big she is.
And she wasn't that big of a person.
I guess she just grew early and
Do y'all have any more questions, comments?
oh, you got the answer from when Paul was killed? Him and that girl was gonna get married in just a few weeks, weren't they? Madge. What was her name?
Her last name was Custer.
Madge Custer,
I
wasn't
don't know what her first name.
Margaret.
I don't
Madge.
remember.
Maggie.
I don't remember what her first name was.
Maggie
More.
Margaret? Okay. I know we always liked to go over to Grandma's. We'd always fight who was gonna spend the night with her. And our favorite night was Saturday night. Because that, on Saturday, is when you bought groceries.
Yeah.
You always bought a
Candy.
can of peaches and a chocolate cake. And that's what we had to eat. Oh, I tell you what, Tommy and I both would fight to stay on Saturday night. And, but during the week, Grandma would let us have, bread. She'd put sugar on that bread and then pour coffee over it.
Yeah.
And boy, that was good. And
We
she
ate
let
that
us,
every morning. Mother always made, hot biscuits. 365 days out of the year. She always had hot biscuits. And for breakfast, that's what, I'd always eat. A biscuit and pour hot coffee on it, sugar on it.
Mhm.
We had
oh, that was good eating.
But Mom always made, hot biscuits.
And, she let us drink coffee. Mom and Pop would just throw fit. She'd find out Grandma would give us coffee. But, Saturday night was our favorite night, 'cause the next morning we got up, she'd always cut that cake. But that's the only time she had it.
And if Mom would ever go anyplace after my oldest sister stay all night or anything, why, she'd always make up the biscuits, the dough and everything. All we had to do is to make them out
And bake them.
and but,
She didn't have the liquid to it then.
huh?
She didn't add the liquid to it.
No, these were just old,
You added the liquid to it.
and, she had everything all fixed up. Oh, the good old days, I don't care for them. I'll take today.
Water gravy. You wanna make
Oh.
lots?
No, we always had a lot of,
Of course, we had milk, but we'd go out to Claude and Aleen's out there and we'd have water gravy out there. We thought that was, boy, that was good. We got so tired of milk gravy. And we'd have white butter in the, wintertime, and yellow butter in the summertime.
we had,
What's the difference?
The grass made the butter yellow, green grass. But in the wintertime, they didn't have the green grass, and so it would be white. And we thought that was really something great too, to have white butter. And I know Tommy got mad at Mama one time, and he decided he'd spite her, and so he drank. She had one of those big churns, almost full of cream, and it hadn't soured yet. He thought, well, I'll just drink that up, she won't get to make any butter. Boy, you talk about sick. Now, he was sick for 3 days. And, his hair wouldn't lay down, it always stick up. I don't know whether it was Papa or somebody, might have been you or Harvey, said, well, plaster it down with,
butter.
grease, and he did. And Mama said she like to never got that washed out of his hair. She come home and it was just plastered to his head. And she shampooed that I don't know how many times. And of course, all we had was that, either P&G soap or homemade soap. She said she washed. Of course, we just got our hair washed once a week, and that was in the bathtub, the old bathtub that you set in front of the stove.
Yeah, we always had a great big old, brown
Wash tub.
wash
Well,
tub.
this was an old wash tub.
Wash tub that we'd, heat the water and have it sitting behind the big old wood stove. That's where we'd take our bath and put on long underwear.
Oh, yeah. We got clean pajamas every Monday, and we got clean longans every Monday. And we wore them all week long. We had one dress we wore all week. We'd get home of the evening, and the first thing we had to do was change
Yeah.
that dress and put on our coveralls. And I've often wondered how the teacher ever stood all those kids. Well, I know they all done the same.
For sure.
Wear the same clothes for a whole week.
In there.
And, she'd call us in, and that's, we'd all take a bath in the same water. Mom was first, Mary second, Tommy was always last. He was always the last one to take a bath.
You want to edit a lot of that out. But then I got, what kind of family did you have?
We all took a bath in the same water. Oh, my gosh.
Well, I can't remember. I suppose we all took, I don't know, I don't remember that, but how many of us took a bath in the water, but I do remember getting behind the heating stove in the living room or sitting room or whatever you want to call it, where we had the stove, and, to take the bath. I remember that,
Yeah.
but,
I never will forget, Grandma was over there one time, and Mama had her powder, body powder, and she hadn't put it up. She'd always take her bath and she'd put that up, and she hadn't put it up, and I took my bath. Boy, I was just powdering all over my face. Grandma come in and she said, "You shouldn't put that on your face." I thought it was face powder.
mhm.
She said, "That don't go on your face, that goes on your body." She said, "Don't tell them where that powder puff's been." Well, I never will forget that.
I don't, now, Mother never did play cards, but Pop always played cards with us kids. Or that is with, well, no, Virginia didn't play cards, the boys didn't play cards, so I guess it just had to be Pauline and me that we played cards. And, I don't know, we was playing something. And here it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And Mother, I guess we was making so much racket, came downstairs, and she took those cards and she opened up the stove and put them in there.
Oh, no.
That's a good way to break up the game.
But Pop always did play cards with us, he always played.
What's your father's name?
Walter,
Walter Brown?
Walter Manley Brown,
What's your mother's name?
Elizabeth. Sarah. I knew it wasn't Mary. Sarah Elizabeth
What was her maiden name?
Buckley.
Buckley. Were they both from Kansas?
Papa was born in Upperville, Virginia. And he came to Kansas when he was 16 years old.
The Homestead?
Huh?
The Homestead?
Well, he just a kid struck out 16 years old. I don't know, he worked around and, well, I don't know what he did.
Where's your mother from?
She was from Tama, Iowa, where she was born. Or Olin, Iowa is where she was born. And they used to live in, he had a grocery store in, well, someplace in Kansas, before they came to Ottawa. And he farmed and worked for this manufacturing company.
What kind of chores you do in the farm as a child?
I didn't do anything. I wasn't an outdoor guy. I stayed in the house.
You do the laundry?
No, I can't, and Lauren, we had one of those, wash machines that you went back and forth,
Oh, the handle?
that, you did
Mm-hmm.
in there. No, my job after I got older, I don't, as I said, a kid, I don't know. As I got older, I'd always make, my job was making cakes. I'd make cakes for Sunday.
Oh.
Make cake for Sunday. That was always my
Sunday
job.
was a big day to eat.
I was always, and I can remember Mom would always have, she'd always make a fruit salad, oranges and bananas.
Ours was Jello and
Well, that's,
Jello and banana. That's what we had.
Well,
on Sunday.
we'd always put oranges in them,
Just Jello and banana.
and that was always, of course, I can remember when we had thrashers to harvest the wheat, how Mom would fry chickens and make pies and oh, good heavens.
What kind of cake would you make on Sunday?
Probably just plain old white cake.
Well, I think we have a good interview.
I think we did.
They're out there, you got that off, haven't you?
No?
Oh, Joe, give that one. I said it's gonna be like you're gonna have to.
Yeah, gonna have to edit a lot, isn't it?
out.